Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome live and direct from the Frank Beck Chevrolet Studio Annex. It's a Monday edition of Time Out Over Time on the Time Out Over Time YouTube channel. I'm Rick Arsenal. You know the drill. Get down in the corner and you smash that like and subscribe button. You'll be doing me a big favor. Just remember one thing the next subscriber to this podcast will be the winner. I've already explained what they're going to win. Okay. So tell your friends. Let's start with the good news. About the only good news we had from as you saw in the headlines, a completely revolting weekend that it was. I'm not going to get too upset over it. Mike Stone from the flagship 97 won the ticket on Friday. Friday morning, sitting in for John Jansen, who was out in L.A. for the Michigan game, predicted that the Tigers and the Wolverines and the Lions would all lose. And he was right. So let's see. The good news, get that out of the way first. Red Wings did lose their home opener Thursday night. Did not look good getting beat by Montreal. Came back Saturday night and this afternoon, a matinee in Toronto. Back-to-back games. They defeated the Maple Leafs. 6-3 Saturday night, 3-2 this afternoon. That 6-3 score Saturday night was a little deceiving. The last two goals were empty net goals, but it's good to see him get off to a good start. I don't know. Will they make the playoffs this year? I still have questions about their goaltending. They do not have an elite goaltender, and they haven't had one for a while. Elite goaltenders in the NHL are like edge rushers in the NFL. They come at a premium, and they're very hard to get and very hard to maintain. So anyway, Wings are 2-1, get off to a good start. That's about the only good news we had from the weekend. We'll get into the rest of it, as ugly as it is, after we get our sponsors out of the way. As you heard last week, I'm so happy and thrilled and proud to be welcoming in another sponsor to our family sponsors, and that's the Finish Line Family Restaurant on Carlton Road in Hillsdale. Now with new hours, extended hours, Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. We are so thankful after 4 decades of service to our community. And new owner Gavin Carr and company, I think, we wish them luck, all the luck in the world. They're going to make it, they're going to make some improvements. You get a great meal, a great award-winning breakfast, and great service, family atmosphere. I mean, it's, like I said, after 4 decades of service, I don't know what this community would have done without the Finish Line Family Restaurant. Great desserts, great ice cream, anything you want in a restaurant, it's right there. And they have proudly been a part of our community now for the better part of 4 decades. Anyway, thank you to the Finish Line Family Restaurant. The place to go for a great dessert or snack or meal or breakfast, anything at all. Finish Line Family Restaurant on Carlton Road in Hillsdale. Remember those new hours. Okay. Open Monday, Thursday, Friday night now until 8 o'clock. The good folks at the Frank Beck Chevrolet wanted me to remind you that October is truck month at Frank Beck Chevrolet. You get in there right now. This is the month to get a really great. It's hard to believe. Well, where's the time going? October is almost half over. It's incredible. The days are getting shorter. Get up at 7 o'clock now. It's still pitch dark yet. You got to turn the lights on. That'll change when we spring ahead in a couple of weeks. Or I'm sorry, fall back. Fall back. That's another thing. I wish they'd put it one way and leave it like that, don't you? Anyway. Get in there. Get into Frank Beck Chevrolet. Get a great deal on a truck, Silverado or whatever. You won't get a better deal than this month on a truck at Frank Beck Chevrolet on M99 between Hillsdale and Jonesville. Get in there and let those folks help you experience the Frank Beck Chevrolet difference. Chevrolet together, let's drive. Chevrolet drive Southern Michigan. And of course, Frank Beck Chevrolet is the #1 Chevrolet selling dealer in our immediate tri-state area. Lastly, we're also brought to you in part by Barron Insurance on the corner of M99 and US 12 in downtown Jonesville. That's BarrettINS.com. Barron Insurance, protecting your dreams. 517-849-1000. As I said, on M99 at US 12 in downtown Jonesville. That's BarrettINS.com. Barron Insurance, protecting your dreams. Now, Tigers lost Friday night in 15 innings, 5.5-hour marathon, 3-2. They took the lead, I believe, in the fifth inning on a 2-run home run by Kerry Carpenter. I kind of had a feeling, unless Skubal, who was pitching well, could go all the way and keep Seattle from scoring another run, but the only chance we had of winning the game didn't happen. So I knew as soon as Seattle tied the score, we weren't going to score again. So when they tied the score 2-2, the game was pretty much over right there. You knew eventually Seattle would win. By the way, they did beat Toronto last night in Game 1 of the ALCS. I still think the Blue Jays are going to win that series. Chris Harris, Tiger president of operations, and A.J. Hinch this morning held their season-ending press conference at Comerica Park. There was some breaking news revealed at some point during this season. I'm not exactly sure when. A.J. Hinch signed a contract extension. The terms have not been released. He's very happy in Detroit. And all we know is he's going to be here for a very long time. Is he one of the best managers in baseball? I don't know about that. You look back on Friday night's game after the Tigers took a 2-1 lead to the bottom of the seventh. He came in with Kyle Finnegan. Myself, I would have come in with Troy Melton, who eventually did have to come in later on in extra innings. It was very effective. I think Melton could have closed it out the last 3 innings. I think he could have gotten 9 more outs without allowing a run. Scott Harris did reveal this morning that in the teams that he was negotiating with at the trade deadline, it sounds like most of them were asking for Troy Melton. So I'm almost positive he's going to be part of the Tiger rotation next year. You can almost bank on that. So we'll have more to say about what Scott Harris said this morning later on in the week. We got to kind of get things running along here. College football. Michigan State and Michigan both lost. I did not think Michigan would beat Southern Cal out there. For 2 reasons. They had to travel 2,300 miles west, although they did leave a day early. They got there Thursday, apparently. USC had 14 days to prepare for this game. That's a big deal. That's a real big deal. A real big advantage. I don't know how that could have happened either. So, anyhow, Michigan they were ranked 15th going in. They are no longer in the top 25. I still think if they could run the table, well, I'm not sure right now. If they end up 9-3, I don't think that would get them in. Let's be honest. Watching that game Saturday night, did they look like a playoff team? Although I don't, it didn't help any when they lost their running back. Looked maybe like he had some bruised ribs or something. He was and again, the defensively, they did not play well. USC pretty much moved the ball at will. Yeah, and even sadder story for the Michigan State Spartans. It was a beautiful day in East Lansing, and it was homecoming. A noontime start, homecoming against a team that you were heavily favored to win. Folks, if you're a Michigan State fan, you know this game was over before it even started. Complete total of what was the final? What these 38 to what 10? I don't even have the final score here in front of me. All I can tell you is that they Bruins won by at least 3 scores. It was an embarrassing loss for Michigan State. Homecoming, they got booed off the field at halftime. You're watching the game on the Big Ten Network midway through the third quarter. I don't even know if the stadium was half full. And now you have irate Spartan fans calling up Detroit Sports Talk Radio. Poor Jonathan Smith has only been here a year and a half, and they want him gone already. Some of these knuckleheads want to replace him with the just fired James Franklin. Yeah, if you hadn't heard, Franklin was shown the door yesterday by Penn State after another embarrassing loss, this time to Northwestern. And reminded Andy on the show Saturday morning, you know, the preseason football rankings had Texas number 1 and Penn State number 2. Ohio State with another relatively easy win at Illinois. By the way, just for the record, a couple of things here. Ohio State's payroll, this doesn't include the coaching staff. The combined amount of money that Ohio State is paying the players on their roster now comes to about $35 million. Well, by the way, don't feel too sorry for James Franklin, who's having his contract bought out by Penn State to the tune of about $50 million. Yeah, they're going to cut him a check for $50 million as part of his buyout. This is the second largest buyout in NCAA football history, second only to Jimbo Fisher's $76 million at Texas A&M. So I'm not, aside from the fact that Franklin's ego might be hurting a little bit right now, his pocketbook sure isn't, or his bank account isn't. 50 million, big ones for him. So I have no doubt he'll get a coaching job somewhere next year. Like I said, a lot of Spartan fans would like to bring him in. I don't know about that. If you're a Wolverine fan, I'd be glad to see it, but I don't know. Okay, by the way, getting back to baseball, the National League AL, NLCS gets underway tonight with the Dodgers at Milwaukee, I believe. I think the starting time on that one is, they don't have a starting time on it. Anyway, Dodgers and Milwaukee tonight, game 1 of the NLCS. Pardon me. Before we get to the Lions, let's do this. As you know, we wouldn't be doing this podcast without the assistance of the good folks, Tim Lindley and his staff at Quality PC in downtown Hillsdale, 37 Waldron Street, directly across the street from Fat Jack's Automotive. 517-610-5372, the only place around here. I mean it, the only place in Hillsdale to go for tech service. Quality PC in downtown Hillsdale. Anything at all. Computers, new or used, flat screen TV, mounting programming setup. Perhaps you're changing internet providers. You need that installed. Printers, or newer, anything at all. Get in there and see Tim or one of his staff members. Certainly more than capable of resolving any technical issues or needs that you may have. 517-610-5372. Or better yet, like I said, get in there and see them at 37 Waldron Street in downtown Hills. And when you get in there, telling me and Mickey sent you, thank you very much. Lions. I predicted Saturday morning, the timeout show, that the Kansas City would win the game, and they did. Where to begin? A strange call on the Lions' first possession. They got the kickoff. Chiefs won the kickoff in the third. Lions got the ball first. A 10-minute drive all the way down to the Kansas City 1-yard line. 4th and goal. And the Lions use a trick play with Goff catching what appeared to be a touchdown pass. Took them 2 minutes to figure out that it was an illegal play. Lions were penalized for illegal motion. I'm still not so sure about that. So, making a long story short, too, there were like 4 minutes left in the first half. The Lions had the ball at a 10-6 lead. It was 4th down. Midfield, or maybe slightly into Kansas City territory. Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped what would have been a first down pass. Lions could have killed the rest of the clock for the half, gone down and scored another touchdown, taking a 17-6 lead into the half. Those 2 plays, I think, cost them the game. Pardon me. Not only that, when was the last time you saw an NFL team go out and play a full 60 minutes with not one single penalty? Not one. Brian Branch at the end of the game, I didn't see it, apparently punched or slapped Smith-Schuster, wide receiver of the Chiefs, who clipped him in the back. Very obvious clip in the back, right in front of the referee, and there was nothing called. And then he was taunting him after that. I have heard nothing yet in regard to a fine or suspension. Would not surprise me if Branch gets fined and maybe a 1-game suspension. Dan Campbell was asked yesterday on the post game about getting anybody back for next Monday night. And by the way, the Lions are 5.5-point favorites. As I told my colleagues earlier, I refuse to believe the Lions would lose back-to-back games until I actually see it. That's one of the reasons they're 5.5-point favorite. Not only that, Las Vegas is just figuring that Lions are a better team than Tampa Bay, regardless of records right now. Tampa Bay is not going to go 16-1, as well as Baker Mayfield is playing. They're just not. And they've got some injury issues, too. Pardon me. So the fact that the Lions are home. And I don't know, is Decker going to be back? And Lee McNeil? I don't know. We'll know that later on in the week. But right now, they're 5.5-point favorites. They sit at 4-2. I picked the Lions to go 12-5. And I amended that to 13-4. I still think that's what they're going to go, 13-4 this year. I don't see. Look, it's almost impossible to beat Kansas City at home. The Chiefs just don't lose at home. They just don't. And again, that game last night, referees missed several obvious calls on Kansas City that weren't called. You just kind of had a feeling when the first touchdown was wiped off the board, it was not going to be there tonight, and it wasn't. So you deal with it and you move on. So week from tonight, Ford Field, Tampa Bay Bucks. Should be a good one. I did see a power ranking that had the Lions. One was 6 and one was 7 now, after just one loss. Well, I should say 2, but was anybody out there? Was anybody out there now naive enough to think the Lions were going to go 16-1? Raise your hand if you thought the Lions were going to go 16-1. And if you're disappointed after this loss, and how much respect have you lost for the Lions now after this loss to Kansas City? I've kind of been debating with my colleagues about this. But anyway, just for your information, tonight, there's another doubleheader. There's on ESPN, there's a game at 7 o'clock. 1 hour later at 8 on ABC, it's the Bears and the Commanders. That's the featured game of the night. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of rooting for the Bears to win this game. If they do, it'd be their third straight win. It's in Washington. So, and that'll put a bow on this week's, on week 6 in the National Football League. The Lions have this game next Monday night, and then they have a bye, and then they'll come back 2 weeks later. Finally, a 1 o'clock game at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings did not play this week after 2 consecutive weeks in Europe. They had the week off. Green Bay struggled with Cincinnati, finally won at the end. They did not cover the spread. I took the Packers and the points. That figures, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it. And then I think if you did or didn't hear, I think Dan Dickerson kind of summed the whole weekend up for everybody. If you didn't hear, in case you didn't hear him, after every Tiger game, Dan Dickerson does about a 30-second wrap-up. It's played the next morning for the affiliates, Tiger radio affiliates. Gets played. Okay, I'm sure you've heard Andy or Rob played many times here at WCSR. So after a 5.5 hour, 15-inning game, after losing, Dan was reminded apparently by somebody that he had to do a wrap up. And in his words, he said, "Don't tell me I have to do an effing wrap up now." And then he said, "Well, F the wrap up." Okay. Funny. Dan immediately realized what he had done. Didn't know that it was a hot open mic. And that's kind of the way that I think that's signifies the way the whole weekend went for all of us around here. He did issue an apology to the Free Press. Said, "Look, Dan's a good guy. He was obviously frustrated and maybe tired or whatever, but I guess now we know what Dan Dickerson thinks about that wrap up, don't we?" Anyway, okay, I'll talk to you all again on Wednesday. Of course, this Saturday, Andy, Jed, and I will not be there. Harrison James will be doing the show this week. It's my understanding he has a guest or two lined up. So give Harrison a listen to Saturday morning, will you, from 9 to 10 here locally on WCSR 92.1 FM. And because I will be unable to do a show on Friday, I'll do one tomorrow. So I'll talk to you all again tomorrow. And on Wednesday, I'll be doing the show for the next 2 days, and then I won't do another one until next Monday, just so you know. I'm still doing 3 shows a week, but this week, they will be on consecutive nights. Tonight, tomorrow night, and Wednesday night. Okay? All right. Hope that doesn't confuse too many of you, but all right. So until tomorrow night, then. Okay? I'll be right back here tomorrow night. I'll simply bid you all a very pleasant evening. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Remember, the next subscriber will be the winner. Tell your friends. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember, please treat each other with respect. So until tomorrow night, I'll simply say, good night, everybody. Have a good night. Bye-bye.